Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the InnerViews. In today's video, we're going to briefly analyze new signing Martin Odegaard and break down how he can improve Mikel Arteta's Arsenal. When we break it all down, first we're going to look at how he lined up under Zinedine Zidane at Real Madrid, and while it is a small sample size, it is relevant. He played in the number 10 role in a 4-2-3-1 when he did feature for Real Madrid, and it was often in behind Karim Benzema, but there were times where you did see Mariano Diaz starting up front as well. Out in the wider areas, Real Madrid's wider players did look to cut in central, and that would allow the fullbacks in Ferland Mendy and Dani Carvajal, or at times Lucas Vazquez, pushing forward from the fullback position. Toni Kroos and Luka Modric did dictate the tempo of the game from deeper positions. And what you saw from Odegaard was that from a defensive standpoint, he would help Karim Benzema press it from the front to close down the center backs. And if there was a deep lying central midfielder, he did have the tactical discipline to sit in between them and press when required. But in terms of going forward, what we saw from Odegaard was that he did look to receive the ball between the lines and he was shifting laterally. But for the most part, when he didn't receive the ball in those spaces, because Real Madrid do look to play out through the flanks, he would drop off into deeper positions ahead of the opposing midfield bank to receive the ball or try to tuck into pockets of space between the wide player and the central midfielder. Arteta struggled to fill this void with Mesut Ozil not being utilized, and what you've seen from Smith Rowe in Arsenal's recent success is a bit different than Odegaard, because what you see from Smith Rowe is that he's drifting out into wider areas to combine with Arsenal's attacking wide players and the fullbacks, creating overloads and then getting teammates into attacking positions. You rarely see him receiving the ball in tight pockets of space between the lines, and that's possibly due to the fact that Arsenal lack personnel capable of playing those passes. They don't have players in the mold of Toni Kroos or Luka Modric, but it's Odegaard's persistence to constantly drop into those pockets of space in search of the ball, and his ability to pick up the ball from deeper positions and carry it forward to help link play with his teammates that makes him such an asset. So in terms of how Odegaard would fit into Arteta's setup, a lot of his game is played in the center of the pitch and in the opposing side's third, and his ability to link play with quick combinations, carrying the ball into the final third and shifting it out into wider areas for his teammates to get into 1v1s, and his ability to play passes in behind the opposing side's defense with a bit of space sums him up perfectly. You can look to a time where Modric pokes the ball across Kovalenko for Odegaard in a pocket of space in midfield, and you could see Stepanenko immediately shifting across to apply pressure. Odegaard receives Modric's pass, you could see him spinning away from Stepanenko's pressure, and Modric making a run into space off Kovalenko's shoulder towards the box. Here you could see Odegaard splitting Kovalenko and Stepanenko to play and Modric moving towards the Shakhtar penalty area. If we look to another example of Odegaard's quick combination play in central areas, here we see Odegaard receiving the ball to the right of Vidal and returning it back to Kroos to pull out the Chilean. Kroos slides the ball across Vidal for Odegaard, shifting to the Chilean's left to receive the ball as neither Barella nor Gagliardini track his movement and allow the Norwegian to receive the ball in a pocket of space. When Odegaard receives the ball, he slides it across Barella into the feet of Hazard between the lines, and that allows Real Madrid to break forward. We could look to a time where Benzema receives possession from Mendy and he instantly looks to poke the ball across Barrenechea for Odegaard between the lines. Here you could see Odegaard poking the pass first time across Barrenechea into the path of Benzema, continuing his run towards goal. But Benzema fires a low effort beyond the lunging Lenormand and Barrenechea into Alex Ramiro. If we look to how Odegaard could create space for his teammates, we witness Vazquez sliding the ball across Kovalenko to Modric in a pocket of space, and you could see Odegaard and Benzema making runs between the gaps of the Shakhtar backline. Here you could see that it's Odegaard's run that pulls away Vital to create space for Modric, who splits Kovalenko and Stepanenko and the Shakhtar center backs to play in Benzema, And while Benzema does force Trubin into a save from this position, you could see Odegaard continuing his run off Vital, and a pass across the Shakhtar center back would have created a better goal scoring opportunity. Here you could see Mendy receiving the ball from Asensio in the left channel ahead of Marlos and Dodo, and that's where you see Odegaard pointing for the ball in left half space as he begins to make a run across Stepanenko. Mendy splits Marlos and Dodo, and the ball falls to an unmarked Asensio, who immediately guides it into Odegaard's feet. This creates a 2v1 overload in left half space against Stepanenko. This ultimately results in Odegaard poking the ball across Stepanenko to place Asensio free to play a ball across the center backs for Benzema, but he's in an offside position which forces a shot from a tight angle. Here you could see Modric splitting Lukaku and Barella to find Odegaard unmarked between the lines. And when Odegaard receives the ball, you could see Gagliardini attempting to track back into position and Skriniar stepping to the ball, but what we should also focus on is Lucas Vazquez's run across De Vrij at the edge of the box. For Vazquez's lateral run towards the edge of Inter's penalty area, but his effort is blocked by De Vrij for a corner. If we look to a transitional break, it's Mendy's desperate slide pass that splits Merino and Guevara for an unmarked Odegaard between the lines in the halfway circle. Odegaard runs at the Sociedad backline, and when Lenormand steps forward, the Norwegian attacking midfielder plays a pass across the center back into right half space for Benzema running across Elizondo. But as you could see here, Odegaard's pass plays Benzema in a legitimate goal scoring position, but Elizondo does well to track the Real Madrid striker's run to make a vital tackle. And while majority of Odegaard's impact is based in central areas, he can cause a threat out in the wider areas with his combination play. We can look to an example where he picks up the ball on the left touchline and splits Dentinho and Dodo to find Asensio in a pocket of space as he continues his run into the final third. Odegaard receives Asensio's return ball in the left channel with Rodrigo, Benzema, and Varane as his options in the box. And here, Odegaard does well to pick out Benzema with a lofted delivery ahead of the 6-yard box, but the Real Madrid striker volleyed his effort wide of the net ahead of pressure. In the build-up to Real Madrid's opener against Inter, Odegaard receives Hazard's pullback across Skriniar and Hakimi at the edge of the box, and that's where he locates Nacho in a large gap of space between a stepping De Vrij and Barella. Odegaard slides the ball across De Vrij for an unmarked Nacho in a legitimate goal-scoring position, and that results in Barella clipping him down for a penalty that Hazard converted. If we look to another example, it's Mendy poking the ball square across Guevara to Odegaard shifting laterally towards the left channel. Odegaard pokes the ball across Guevara into the path of Mendy breaking goal side of Gorazabal in left half space, but Mendy attempts to place the ball back onto his left foot, which results in the Madrid left back being crowded out by 3 Real Sociedad players. If Odegaard isn't receiving the ball between the lines and looking to play teammates in on goal, he does a good job of carrying the ball forward into attacking positions, dragging markers to him, and then placing the wide players in 1v1 situations. Against Inter, Modric splits Gagliardini and Vidal to find Odegaard in a large pocket of space in midfield, and Odegaard holds off Vidal and Gagliardini pressure to slide the ball across Young into the path of Lucas Vazquez, which pulls out Bastoni. However, his low delivery into the box is intended for Mariano, but it was cleared by Skriniar. There was a time where Modric was on the ball with Isak applying pressure from behind, Merino stepping to Cruz, and Odegaard dropping to the left of Guevara into a pocket of space. Modric dribbles away from Isak's pressure to split Guevara and Merino for Odegaard's lateral movement into space between the lines. But when Odegaard carries the ball into Sociedad's third, he slides it wide to an advanced Mendy. And minutes later in that game, it's Modric from a deep inside right position splitting Merino and Guevara for Odegaard running across Porto into space between the lines. Odegaard receives the ball between the lines and he sparks a 6v4 break into Sociedad's third, and he opts to slide the ball wide to Rodrigo in the right channel, but from there he fails to bypass Munoz and ultimately halts the attack. The one uncertainty with Odegaard's loan move is the fact that many are speculating that Arteta may shift to a 4-3-3. Even if that was the case, he has many combinations that could allow Odegaard to thrive in a deeper central position. One would see Xhaka covering a large gap of space in behind Thomas Partey and Odegaard, and even if Odegaard did push a bit higher up the pitch, Thomas Partey can hold his position to provide cover for Xhaka. if Arsenal wanted to play an attacking-minded 4-3-3 against a side that perhaps plays a deeper block, then you could have Thomas Partey playing as the sole pivot and Dani Ceballos and Odegaard playing a bit higher up the pitch to offer an attacking threat in tighter spaces. So there's no real reason to worry if Arsenal play a 4-3-3 because Odegaard still has the discipline to offer grit in that midfield zone. Whether it be him tracking back to dispossess Tyson against Shakhtar, or even reading the situation where the ball bounces off Hazard's foot and into Hakimi, where he tracks back to win possession. So when you assess the move as a whole, if Odegaard can stay fit, then at the very least, he does offer Arsenal a bit more quality in that midfield zone to help them in situations where they struggle to create in central areas against deeper blocks. Hi everybody, thanks for watching and subscribe here for your latest tactical analysis and daily commentary on the Interview show. And if that wasn't enough, don't forget you could find more organic, unfiltered soccer/football analysis on the Interviews podcast, the best soccer/football podcast in the world, available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and any Android apps on your Android devices.